He only asked me to measure something, but that one moment changed both of our lives forever. They say some moments change your life forever. The kind where time slows down, and the universe seems to pause, waiting to see what choice you'll make. For me, that moment came on a Thursday night in October, when my roommate Marcus stood in my doorway in gray sweatpants and asked me the most unexpected question of my life. "Hey, Ethan. This sounds weird, but can you help me measure something?" I looked up from my laptop, where I'd been pretending to work on my graphic design portfolio while actually scrolling through social media. Marcus filled the doorway with his tall, athletic frame. One hand scratched the back of his neck the way he always did when he was nervous. His dark curls were still damp from the shower, and under the soft lamplight, his skin seemed to glow. "Measure what?" I asked, proud that my voice stayed steady despite my heart racing. He shifted his weight, and I noticed the movement of muscle beneath his skin. We'd been roommates for 8 months, long enough for me to memorize every detail about him, even though I tried not to. Long enough for me to fall completely, hopelessly in love with my straight roommate. Because that's what Marcus was, straight. He'd had a girlfriend until 3 weeks ago. And another before that. And another before that. You get the idea. He let out an awkward laugh. "Okay. This is going to sound insane, but I need help measuring myself." The words hung between us. I'm pretty sure I stopped breathing. "You're what?" I managed, even as my brain short-circuited. I know. He stepped inside and shut the door behind him. The room suddenly felt much smaller. "It's for something online. There's a girl I've been talking to," she asked, and I realized I honestly have no idea. My friends would just roast me. "But you're always honest with me. You're the only one I trust to be real with me." The irony of that word, real, wasn't lost on me. "And you don't have a ruler?" I asked, trying desperately to drag this conversation back into normal territory. "I do, but I can't really do it accurately by myself. I need someone to, help." This felt unreal, like something pulled from the late-night romance stories I secretly read. Not something that should happen in real life. Not to someone like me. A quiet, introverted designer who spent more time with his cat than with people. "Marcus, I don't think." "Please, Ethan." He looked at me with those deep brown eyes, and my resistance cracked. "I know it's strange, but you're my best friend. I don't feel comfortable asking anyone else." Best friend. The words should have felt warm. Instead, they felt sharp, because that was all I'd ever be to him. The safe roommate. The person he trusted with awkward favors. No chance of it being anything more, at least not on his side. I'd been carrying feelings for Marcus since the day he moved in. Carrying heavy boxes up 3 flights without breaking a sweat. Flashing me that easy smile. Somewhere between late-night talks about dreams and the way he always remembered my favorite coffee creamer, I'd fallen for him. "Okay," I heard myself say. "I'll help." The smile that broke across his face felt like sunrise. "Seriously, man. You're a lifesaver." He grabbed the ruler from my desk. Then he turned toward me, and the reality of what I'd agreed to finally hit me. My throat went dry. "So, how do we do this?" I asked. "I'll get ready, and you just measure from the base to the tip. That's the standard way, right?" "Right. Standard." I sounded like I was underwater. He took a slow breath. "Is it okay if I?" "Yeah, of course." I tried to sound casual, like this was completely normal. What followed felt unreal. My mind struggled to keep up. I focused on anything except what was happening in front of me. My shaking hands, the ruler, the sound of my own breathing. "Give me a second," he said quietly. "Okay, I'm ready." I stood on unsteady legs and stepped closer. I could smell his clean body wash, the warmth of his presence. My hands trembled as I held the ruler where he directed. "Press it at the base," he said, his voice lower than usual. I did, painfully aware of how close we were, of how much I wanted to pull away, and how impossible that felt. 8.5, I whispered. "Really?" His voice brightened. That's good, right?" "Yeah, that's definitely good." For a moment, neither of us moved. The air felt heavy with something unspoken. Thanks, he finally said, quickly pulling himself together. I really appreciate it. I know that was weird. It's fine, I lied. When he left, I collapsed onto my bed, heart racing, skin burning. I knew, absolutely knew, that everything had just become more complicated. I couldn't stop thinking about him, about the trust in his eyes, about how deeply I was in love with someone who would never be mine. The next morning, I woke with a pounding headache and a sense of dread. A knock came at my door. Ethan? You up? I made coffee. Of course he did. In the kitchen, he handed me my favorite mug, already prepared the way I liked. He smiled. My stomach twisted. Listen, he said. About last night, thanks again. I told the girl I'm talking to. She was impressed. He laughed. The words landed like a quiet blow. I'm happy for you, I forced out. That evening, we sat on the couch watching a terrible action movie. I barely saw the screen. My thoughts kept circling one question I was too afraid to ask. At last, he paused the movie. Did what I asked you to do last night make you uncomfortable? The concern in his eyes caught me off guard. You didn't make me uncomfortable, I said truthfully. Then what's wrong? He leaned closer. And suddenly, with the space between us shrinking, I realized the truth I'd been hiding from both of us was about to change everything. Talk to me, Ethan, Marcus said softly. We're friends. Best friends. You can tell me anything. The truth pressed against my lips, desperate to escape. I'm in love with you. I've been in love with you since the day you moved in. Last night almost destroyed me because I wanted it to mean something it didn't. But instead I said, I guess I was just scared it might make things weird between us. Why would it? I searched for words that were honest, but not too honest. Because it was intimate, Marcus. Even if that wasn't the intention. And I didn't want you to feel like I was seeing you differently. Understanding slowly dawned in his eyes. Because you're gay? Yeah, I said quietly. Because I'm gay. He stayed silent for a long moment, his gaze locked to mine. Then he said something that stole the air from my lungs. What if I wanted you to look at me differently? Time seemed to stop. The room, the TV, the world outside our apartment. Everything faded until there was only Marcus and the question hanging between us. What? I whispered. That girl. Maya. He looked down at his hands. I made her up. My mind refused to process it. You what? There is no Maya. There's no girl. His voice shook. I needed an excuse. I couldn't just say what I really wanted to say. He lifted his eyes to mine, and what I saw there nearly stopped my heart. Fear, vulnerability, and something that looked like hope. I can't stop thinking about you, Marcus said. I've been thinking about you for months. I broke up with Sarah because every time I was with her, I wished I was with you. The words spilled out of him now, fast and unguarded. I'm scared. I'm confused. I've never felt this way about a guy before, but I feel it with you, and I don't know what it means. Couldn't breathe. Everything I thought I knew shattered and reshaped into something new. Last night, he continued, I knew what I was asking was strange, but I needed to know if there was even a chance. His laugh was strained. God, I sound ridiculous. Marcus. My voice was hoarse. Are you saying? I'm saying I'm into you, Ethan, he admitted. Somewhere along the way, my best friend became the person I think about when I wake up and the last person I think about at night. The world tilted. This couldn't be real. Say something, he pleaded. Even if it's to tell me you don't feel the same. I've been in love with you for 8 months. His eyes widened. Since the day you moved in, I continued. Since you carried those impossible boxes up the stairs and still helped me build your bed. I fell in love with you through every girlfriend, every late-night talk, every moment I had to pretend I didn't care. I thought I was imagining it all. You weren't, he whispered. It was real. We stood there breathing in the same fragile space of truth we'd both been hiding from. Can I? His voice dropped to almost nothing. Can I kiss you? I nodded. He moved slowly, giving me every chance to pull away. I didn't. When our lips finally met, It felt like relief and recognition and home all at once. When we pulled back, both of us were trembling. "I've wanted to do that for so long," he murmured. "Why didn't you?" "I didn't think you'd want me to. You've always been so sure of who you are. I'm still figuring everything out. I was afraid you'd think this wasn't real for me." "Is it real?" I asked quietly. He took both my hands. "I've had relationships before, but none of them ever felt like this. When I'm with you, everything makes sense. When I'm not, all I want is to get back to you." Then he met my eyes. "I'm serious, Ethan. Terrified, but serious." "I'm scared too," I admitted. "What if this ruins our friendship? What if it becomes the best thing that ever happened to us?" he said gently. I searched his face. "I'm not an experiment, Marcus. If we do this, I need to know you're choosing me fully." "I am," he said without hesitation. "All in." So was I. "Okay," I whispered. "Let's do this." His smile was radiant. That night changed everything. And the next morning, I woke to sunlight through unfamiliar windows and the weight of his arm around me. For the first time in my life, I felt peaceful in a way I'd never known before. The weeks that followed felt like a dream. Marcus was gentle, attentive, always finding small ways to show he cared. We fell into a quiet rhythm that felt both new and natural. But not everything was easy. "My parents are visiting next month," he told me one night. "I haven't told them about us yet." The words stung. "I'm not ashamed," he said quickly. "They're just traditional. I need to do this right." "You don't have to rush," I said softly, even though part of me was aching. Still, doubts lingered in the back of my mind. Then one evening, my friend Jamie invited us to a pride gathering. I hesitated before asking Marcus, afraid of what his answer might be. After a long silence, he said, "I want to go. I want to be part of your world." The night of the party, I watched him steady himself with every breath. When we walked in hand, fear and courage battled in his eyes, but he didn't let go of me. Later, on the balcony, doubt caught up with him again. "What if I'm holding you back?" he asked quietly. "What if I can't be what you need yet?" I took his face in my hands. "I don't need perfection. I need honesty. I chose you because you're real." He closed his eyes, fighting emotion. Then he squared his shoulders. "Then I'm done hiding." We went back inside together, hand in hand. This time, he didn't let go. He introduced himself proudly as my boyfriend. His arm never left my waist. And in that moment, surrounded by light and music and the quiet strength of choosing each other, I knew, whatever came next, we would face it together. When Daniel approached us again later that night, Marcus was warm and relaxed, secure enough in us not to feel threatened. "I like him," Jamie said later, cornering me in the kitchen. "He's good for you." "Yeah," I agreed, watching Marcus laugh across the room with my friends. "He really is." 2 weeks later, I stood in our apartment trying not to panic while Marcus paced back and forth. "They'll be here in an hour," he said for the third time. "An hour. The house is clean. Dinner's ready. Everything's set." I caught his hand and stopped his frantic movement. "It's going to be okay. You don't know my dad," he said tightly. "He has very strong ideas about how men should be. Then we'll face those ideas together," I said, squeezing his hand. "I'm not going anywhere, no matter what." When the knock came, Marcus took a steadying breath and opened the door. His parents stood in the hallway. His mother, petite and elegant with the same warm brown eyes as Marcus, and his father, tall and broad-shouldered, his expression unreadable. "Mom, Dad," Marcus said, hugging them. "Come in. There's someone I want you to meet." I stepped forward, forcing confidence into my voice. "Mr. and Mrs. Williams, I'm Ethan. It's wonderful to meet you." "Ethan is my roommate," Marcus began, then stopped. He took my hand, his palm damp with nerves. "No, that's not right. Ethan is my boyfriend." The silence that followed was heavy. "My what?" his father asked quietly. "My boyfriend," Marcus repeated, stronger now.
I'm bisexual.
"And I'm in love with Ethan. This is a phase," his father said sharply. You're confused. I'm not confused, Marcus said, his grip tightening around my hand. I've never been more certain of anything. Mrs. Williams spoke softly. How long? 2 months officially, Marcus said. Longer in my heart. This isn't a choice, I said calmly. Love doesn't wait for permission. His father bristled, but Marcus stepped forward. I didn't choose this. It happened. And it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. Tears streamed down his face now. I won't hide who I am anymore. I won't give up the person I love. Not for anyone. Mrs. Williams pulled him into her arms. I don't understand everything, she whispered. But you're my son. And I love you. She turned to me. Do you love him? Yes, ma'am, I said without hesitation. With everything I have. After a long silence, his father finally said, I need time. And with that, he left. Dinner with his mother was awkward at first, but slowly eased into something hopeful. By the end of the night, she was telling childhood stories that made Marcus laugh through tears. In the weeks that followed, she called often, asked questions, tried to understand. His father remained distant until 6 weeks later. It's my dad, Marcus whispered as his phone rang. The call was short. Then Marcus looked at me in disbelief. He wants us both to come to Sunday dinner. Sunday came. His childhood home felt small and unfamiliar. His father met us with quiet resolve and an apology. I was wrong, he said. I let fear speak louder than love. By the end of the dinner, he looked at me and said, You make my son happy. I try, I answered. That's all a parent can hope for, he said. Months passed. We grew together. Stronger, braver, more ourselves. Then came the Pride Parade. Marcus stood beside me in a crowd of thousands. Pride flags bright against the summer sky. His mother waved wildly. His father stood proudly beside her. I should have done this years ago, Marcus said softly. But I'm glad I'm here now with you. As we walked, hand in hand through streets filled with cheers and music, Marcus suddenly stopped. Ethan, he said, his voice unsteady. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. My breath caught. You saw me when I was lost, he said. You loved me when I was afraid. I don't need more time to know this is forever. He opened the box to reveal 2 simple silver rings. Ethan Parker, he said through tears. Will you marry me? Yes, I sobbed. Yes, 1,000 times yes. As he slipped the ring onto my finger, cheers rose from the crowd. Someone shouted, Love wins. And the words echoed through the streets as we held each other in the middle of the celebration. No longer hiding, no longer afraid. Both of us were laughing and crying at the same time, overwhelmed with happiness. Jamie pushed through the crowd and wrapped us in a tight hug, shouting that they knew it, that they always knew we were endgame. I can't believe you proposed at Pride, I said, wiping tears from my face. Where else would I do it? Marcus grinned. This is where we belong. Out, proud, and completely ridiculously in love. It's perfect, I said softly. You're perfect, he replied. We're perfect, I corrected. Together, he added. As we rejoined the parade, hands locked and rings shining in the sunlight, my mind drifted back to that Thursday night 8 months earlier, when Marcus stood in my doorway and nervously asked me to help him measure. I had thought I was measuring 8.5 inches, but what I was really measuring was the distance between loneliness and love, between hiding and being seen, between who we were and who we were meant to become. And that distance turned out to be no distance at all. Just one question, one brave moment, one honest choice, and it had led us here, to Pride, to each other, to a future filled with endless possibility. Hey, Ethan, Marcus said as we walked. Yeah. Thank you. For what? For measuring, he said with a mischievous smile. Turns out the size that really mattered was the size of what I was feeling. And you helped me measure that too. I groaned at the horrible joke, but I was smiling. You're ridiculous. You love it. I love you, I corrected. Same thing, he said, pulling me closer. Same thing. And he was right. because loving Marcus, through every layer of his fear, growth, courage, and beautiful imperfection, was the easiest, most natural thing I had ever done. Felt like coming home. Felt like finding myself. Felt like finally measuring what truly mattered. And what I discovered was this: love, in the end, is infinite. The parade moved forward, and we moved with it. Two men among thousands, each of us celebrating the same powerful truth. That love is love is love. And that truth was more than enough.